Hello everyone and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video, and today we're going to be talking about whether or not Hu Tao is worth it or not. If I do sound weird or the audio sounds different, it's because I just got a new mic, so I'm kind of trying to tweak in, see how it works, make sure to get this all set up so it sounds, I guess, as best as possibly can. So I'm not really used to it yet, and so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say. So let's just get right into the video. Okay, so if you guys saw from most recent video, I did manage to pull Hu Tao. As you can see here, I also was able to pull her Staff of Homa. These were probably some of the best summons I've ever had in my life. Like seriously, I've never had better summons than what I've had on this Hu Tao banner. So I was pretty happy. I mean, if you guys saw the video, I was hyped up, and it was just a great experience that I had. So I got really lucky with 150 something wishes to get the weapon and her. So yeah. Anyway, regardless of that, I'm just gonna talk about I guess the pros and cons about this unit, and my thoughts on the matter and whether or not you should even get her. So when it comes to weapons, right? She actually is pretty easy to build, kind of, when it comes to weapons, and she doesn't really need that crazy good artifacts. Like she's already like a hyper carry. She's really strong. Her artifact sets are pretty easy to grind. You could either do the Crimson Witch set or the Shimenawa set, which also has the Emblem of Sever Fate, and those are two great domains to do, especially the Emblem one, because you can get the Emblem of Sever Fate or Shimenawa's, and it's also pretty good on Hu Tao. The only drawback for that set is the fact that, you lose a lot of energy every so often you pop it. So depending on if you have enough ER or not, you might not be able to pop your burst so often. So while Crimson Witch, it's less. You can be like an average player and you don't really have to worry about it. You just get the full passive and the full buff from it at all times for the most part. But when it comes to weapons, Staff of Homa obviously is their best in slot, and with the new banner out, I would say. I mean, I would never say summon on a weapon banner, to be honest, because you shouldn't. But if you do already have Hu Tao, I would consider going for the Homa rather than their C1, because Homa will give her a huge DPS increase rather than the C1 constellation, even though C1 is actually pretty good, because if you guys don't know, C1 makes it so that her charge attacks don't cost any stamina whatsoever, as you can see right here. That's what it says. And having that means, like I said, her charge attacks vaporize every time. They have no ICDs, so no internal cooldowns. You'll always vaporize every single time with the charge attack with Xingqiu. So, and being able to not use stamina just makes it so that you have quality of life, and it makes it so much easier, and you can get more DPS, pretty much. I think so, at least. But with just the weapon, with just her Staff of Homa and dash canceling or jump canceling, it's also just as good. So that's all I have to say for that. But yeah, now back to the weapons. I know I'm getting a little off track, but her best weapon, like I said, Staff of Homa. And then your other 4 stars that you could use on her are either the Deathmatch, the Black Cliff, and even the Dragon's Bane. And I think that's really it. You could also use, I don't have it here, but the White Tassel is a decent weapon, but I wouldn't consider upgrading a 3-star weapon because it's just not as good to do so. Like, there's certain 3-star weapons you should max out and others that you shouldn't. So I would highly recommend not going for a 3-star weapon. Just if you have the Dragon's Bane, use that, or if you can, get the Deathmatch. And if you can't get that either, go for the Black Cliff Pole, because that's also a really strong weapon. Base attack isn't really that important on Hu Tao, neither is attack, because she scales with HP, so that's why you don't really have to worry about a weapon having super high base attack, because she gives herself a ton of attack with her elemental skill. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for the weapons. Like I said, for artifacts, Crimson Witch or the Shimenawa set, whichever one has better substats. I'm doing Crimson Witch because I like the 15% extra vaporize damage and that extra pyro damage you get at all times. So that's what I do. I do have a decent. I do have a pretty good Shimenawa set, but I like having all that energy on her, being able to get a burst and not have to worry about it. So again, up to you. For her artifacts, the way you want to build them is going to be very typical from what you're going to see for a DPS, except the sands. The sands going to be different. So obviously pyro damage, crit rate or crit damage. I would say go crit rate if you don't have a lot of crit rate stats because she does ascend with the crit damage. And if you do have the Homa, you get a bunch of crit damage as well. So, again, like, if you don't have Homa, then that's a different story. Then pick whatever gets you the best ratio, preferably 1 to 2. So for Sands, you're going to go HP or Elemental Mastery, depending on the substats. So HP makes you more tankier, and you will have, I guess, I guess a little bit higher attack, kind of. While Elemental Mastery gives you a better DPS increase on when you're doing reactions. You'll do more damage, especially if you can get HP on it a little bit. But that all depends on you building Hu Tao as most optimal. Most optimal would be EM, but if you have enough EM on your substats and you don't really have to worry about it, you can go for HP, and that way you get more attack. So I got lucky and I was able to at least hit around 100 Elemental Mastery, and that's kind of what you're looking for. If you can get over 100, then you're good. I would want to get like 120, but I'm still working on for that to happen. So I'm still looking for that. But I'm using HP because I want to use it. I prefer it more over the EMs. If you want to do EM, go for it. Go ahead because it does give you a huge like damage increase. If you notice your Hu Tao's not doing certain amount or high charge attack damages on vaporizes and stuff, it's probably because you don't have any elemental mastery and you focus all on your crit rate and crit damage ratio. So sometimes that can make it you lose some DPS that you would have if you had elemental mastery. So if you're going full on optimal Hu Tao, go for EM. If not, you can go for HP with good substats. But honestly, you can really go with both and just pick which one is the best for you when it comes to substats. And that's it. For for obviously Flower and Feather, it's the same thing. You just want good substats on them, and preferably your best ones you would roll is if you can get crit rate, crit damage, elemental mastery, and HP percent. I got 3 of these here, but I kind of got it rolled into energy recharge, and you don't really need ER on Hu Tao, at least not Crimson Witch Hu Tao. So I was hoping it could roll maybe more into either EM or HP, maybe just get more HP. My HP is kind of low. I would want to get it to 40k, but it's only 27k. I've seen people with at 40k with Hu Tao, so I'm not sure how to get there yet because I just got Hu Tao, so I don't know all about her that much. But yeah, so that's pretty much the go through of her artifacts. For constellations, like I said, her best one is C1, and that's it. The rest of them, honestly, don't even go for them. C1 is the only one you need to go for if you were to go for a constellation. If, like I said, if you do have Hu Tao, I would say go for Homa for more damage. But if you don't want to go for Homa because you don't have enough wishes, go for C1 Hu Tao. You can't go wrong with that. Talents. The talents you're going to want to prioritize on her is going to be normal attack, then her skill, and then her burst. Just because you're going to be charge attacking like all the time, and that's how you get most of your damage. For her passives, you're going to want to keep her under half HP. That's why a lot of people like to run her with HP percent, because then you can be like at 20k when you're at 40k max HP, and you get more attack, and you would be more tankier. So being under half gives you 33% power damage bonus. It's really, really good. That's what you want. That's why you always run it under. This one doesn't really matter. It just gives you more crit rate on your other teammates after your elemental skill. And I think I've covered about everything you need to know about her build and her kit and stuff. Her playstyle, if you guys haven't seen, is hit elemental skill and do charge attacks. You can jump cancel. If you don't know how to jump cancel, it's there's some weird timing to it, but it's like this. So when you first swing, you can jump like that, and that's pretty much jump canceling, and that gets you more DPS. That's all it is. That it's used for. You could also dash cancel into it, but I would only recommend doing that if you have C1 Hu Tao, because if you don't, you will burn through your stamina like no tomorrow, because their charge attacks already use a bunch. So if you're dash canceling in between them, you'll have no stamina, and you'll pretty much probably be getting hit and dying as Hu Tao, because you're going to be like at half HP, and then you get hit by like a one-shot ability or something because you can't dodge. So, alright, and going into that HP kind of thing, the fact that you do have to run her with a shield character, most likely, unless you're good enough to just dodge everything. But if you're going to be using all your stamina, having a shield character is going to be really, really good on her, because then you won't be taking hits or taking damage, So I guess I can go through her now. I'll go through her pros and her cons. So pros obviously are going to be that she does a lot of damage. Um, People who fully invested into Hu Tao, I've seen hit like 40k, like 60k charge attacks, vaporizes, and that's just considering without Homa. I think I don't know. I think if you with Homa, it is possible to hit like 100k, which is crazy, but I'm not entirely sure. Again, I will come out with like a complete full guide on Hu Tao eventually, and I'll go over everything that you can kind of that you need to know. I did go over a little bit of stuff on her, but I think I'll do a guide on her once I learn everything I can about her, and then I'll let you guys know what you need to know. So for teams, her best teammate's gonna be Xing Cho, and that's literally it. You run Xing Cho, and then the rest you can just flex. So I did double Geo as a flex, super strong, or you can do if you wanted to double cryo with Kaya and Diona or Kaya and Chang Yun, you could do that. Or you just go Kaya and then Shang Li and no resonance bonus at all. Or you can also run a Toma and then Sucrose. I don't have Kazuha, but if you do have Kazuha, then use Kazuha instead of Sucrose and run her with Toma. I don't know. I don't exactly know how strong they actually are. I haven't seen how good they work together, but I've heard Toma's going to be a really, really good partner with Hu Tao. So if you run Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Toma, and Sucrose, then you can use Sucrose to pop Verdescent and get people's resistances to Pyro down, because Toma can apply Pyro before, and then you just Verdescent everything, and then Sucrose, and then your Hu Tao hits super, super hard after. That's pretty much the whole build and playstyle, because Toma also does give her a shield, and she doesn't, and Toma doesn't actually make it so she can't vaporize her charge attacks that much. But I think it depends on what kind of Xingqiu you have. I have a C0 one, and I think having a C6 one is better because he has different kinds of Hydro Sword or Hydro application. Don't know how it works entirely. You guys can look that up. But yeah. So those are the teams that you can use on her. So she is pretty flexible and she's really strong. But I guess you could say her cons are the fact that she is only single target really, and that her only AoE is just her burst. But her single target damage is super super like crazy crazy high, really strong, and you can't really go wrong with getting her. Would I say she's a must pull? No. If you don't have a pyro character or a pyro DPS, then go for it. I do recommend going for it. It's worth it if you don't have a pyro DPS. But if you have a bunch of them, don't go for it unless you really like her. That's what I did. I have a bunch of pyro DPSs and I don't really care. I keep getting more. I really should get cryo DPSs, but I'm working on building some. But I just love Huta's character design and just her playstyle and everything about her specifically, so that's why I went for her. Um, I don't think I made a mistake. I think I made a pretty good choice. So, like I said, if you do have a ton of Pyro DPSs, not really worth getting her. She's not going to be. I mean, I guess you could say she is a game changer, but comparing her to Ganyu, I would say get Ganyu instead of her. And yeah, I think I've covered all of her cons and her pros. I don't know if I missed anything. I might have, but I think that's it. So if you guys do enjoy the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. That does help me out a ton. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.